good morning, good afternoon, or good night from whenever and wherever you are watching us. I am Cameron Scandal. That is Steven Treffler. We are the sound. Thank you so much for joining us today. We thought the show last week was so good that we have the same exact lineup today. We got a today's top 5. We got Parlay All day trying to make you some money. We got Sound the Alarm, what teams are going to be here on Upset Alert. And we just got a good show for you. We put a lot of effort into this one. We are excited to get going. We got a lot of great takes, but we got a whole lot of sound. Without further ado, let's get right into our show. So, to start off the show today, we thought we'd go back through some of the games that caught our interest last Sunday. We picked out 3 games that were just pretty good games overall that we wanted to share our opinions with you. That was a weird sentence I just had. So, game number 1, Browns and Bengals. The Browns won that 24-3 in a strange Joe Burrow game. Only 82 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, a 20.3 QBR. It wasn't great, but Deshaun Watson, on the other hand, 154 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Good for him. My thought, this is a good Cleveland win, and this reinforces what I said when we did the division ranking series. Cleveland can be a pretty good team if Deshaun Watson plays like a top 12 to 15 quarterback. It's all they need to do. They can stay afloat and I think surprise a lot of people. And they did just that, taking one out against a division rival in the Bengals. And as far as Joe Burrow, it's week 1. It's one game. He had that injury at practice. I'm sure he's not 100%.
Yeah, Joe Burrow comes off signing the richest contract in NFL history, making him $55 million a year quarterback, and drops 82 yards. But here's what I do know about Joe Burrow is that we've seen he can do it. We know he's going to do it, and they're going to the Super Bowl against the Eagles this year. So I have no concerns about Joe Burrow after one game. Joe Burrow is going to come back, throw for 320 plus and 2 touchdowns, 1 to Jamar Chase this week. They're going to beat the Ravens. Yep. Everything's fine.
Don't panic, Bengals fans.
No.
Game number 2. The Dolphins beating the Chargers 36-34. What a tough game. An historic game from Tua Tagovailoa. 466 yards with 3 touchdowns. The 4th most total yards in a season opener. And the 3rd best yards in week 1 history. Tyreek Hill, 215 yards and 2 touchdowns. Justin Herbert with just under 230 with 229 yards. 1 touchdown for him as well. Steve, I don't want to rain on your parade. I really don't, but I might have to a little. I find it peculiar that Tua had to have one of the greatest week 1 games in history to only beat one of the better teams in their conference by 2 points. I think this is a great sign for Tua that he's going back on the trajectory he was early last season. But I'm not going to immediately put all my faith back in him because he had this outstanding, maybe once-in-a-lifetime game at the start of the season. So it's a great win. Good for you guys, but I'm still very hesitant on the Dolphins overall, especially with Tua.
Tua made this game happen. He's the reason we won. You're right. It's 1 week. It took that, but he gave us the opportunity to win. And then our defense came out and sacked Justin Herbert. And we're also talking about Justin Herbert. So
that was my next point.
It was, we have him as a top 5 at 5 quarterback with Lamar Jackson tied. So, Tua outdueling a top 5 quarterback, I'm cool with that, dude. You know what?
Yeah.
And him doing it in the fashion he did, it didn't look hard for him. So, You know what? Pump the brakes. It's a great win. Very exciting to hear it as a Dolphins fan, but a win Sunday night would mean a lot more against a divisional rival.
Yeah, and the Chargers just be chargering with losing close games and Justin Herbert not pulling out tough wins. That's what their MO is last few years. So yeah, go win for Miami. And our 3rd and final game was the Jets and Bills game. Clearly a very strange game with Aaron Rodgers, and even the outcome, 22-16, the Jets beating the Bills without Aaron Rodgers in overtime. Josh Allen, 29 for 41, 236 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions. 3.
To the same guy.
Zach Wilson, 140 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Breece Hall throwing in 127 yards. Great young back they got in Breece Hall. I think he's going to be special. I think you're going to agree with me that people are being harsh on Josh Allen, I think unnecessarily, and blaming everything on him. Do you agree with that statement?
Yes.
Do you agree that people think Josh Allen is the reason they're not winning? Like it's on him?
Yeah, for whatever reason.
I'm going to take you on a little history lesson with Josh Allen. Okay, 2019, first playoff appearance. Wild card round versus Houston. 264 yards Josh Allen throws for. No touchdowns, but he throws in 92 rushing yards, and they lose by 3 in overtime. It's his first year. He's a rookie. I think we can let that slide. Not a great game, but still nonetheless pretty solid games. Couldn't pull it out. That's his first appearance. The next year, 2020, they make the conference championship versus Kansas City. 287 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 88 rushing yards. I don't know. That seems pretty good to me. They just lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. What are you going to do? That happens. It's Patrick Mahomes.
A lot of people do.
The following year in 21, the divisional round against, guess who? Kansas City goes into overtime. The infamous 16-second game where they literally changed the rules of overtime after this game because of how unfair it was. Again, not put any of that on Josh Allen, who threw for 330 yards and 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and 70 rushing yards. This last year in the divisional round, they're playing Cincinnati. Josh Allen does not play great. I'll admit it has been his worst playoff performance. 264 yards only, 1 interception, no touchdowns, and 26 rushing yards. And obviously they lose. That is not a great game. That's a black mark on his playoff resume, whatever. It is what it is, but it just happened. I don't understand the argument of Josh Allen equates to not winning or he can't get it done when in these playoff games he's playing well and he's not losing because he threw an interception in the end zone. He fumbled the ball and they recovered it. He took too long and threw it away on 4th down. It's not that. I just am not buying the Josh Allen hate and disrespect that he's been getting the last 2 years. I mean, clearly his inconsistency isn't leading to problems. Like, he's playing well. It's just the team, like, they just either barely lose or they lose to Kansas City, which everyone loses to Kansas City. What are you going to do? So Josh Allen, the Sound, is here to support you if you're listening. Well, of course you're listening. We're the Sound. We got you, Josh Allen. Don't worry. We got your back.
Don't touch me.
For today's first segment, we are going to start off with today's top 5, where Steve and I have a list of things in sports context that we order 1 through 5, and we present our information and facts to you all fine people, viewers, and listeners. Today's top 5, we have Aaron Rodgers' top 5 replacements at quarterback. Now, I will say that the Jets came out and Robert Saleh came out and said that Zach Wilson is their guy. He is their starter for the foreseeable future, and they are not looking to make moves, which is fine. I respect that decision. But these are free agents who Steve and I think would be adequate replacements.
And even with those comments, literally last season, Robert Saleh said he's not our guy. So it's like, they can sit here and say he's the guy, but we've already seen what Zach Wilson can offer. So
sure. Yeah, so these are what we think could be the best 5 free agent replacements for Aaron Rodgers. So without further ado, today's top 5. So here you have it, today's top 5, Aaron Rodgers' 5 best replacements. Let's start at the bottom, work our way up. Number 5, familiar face and name, Zach Wilson. Now, before we started this segment, I know I had said it was all free agents, but I think there's something to be said about keeping Zach Wilson at the quarterback spot because, like, what is Zach Wilson's mentality going into the future in these coming weeks for the Jets? Because like you said, Steve, they said last year that Zach Wilson was not our guy. They immediately replaced him with Aaron Rodgers. He was considered probably the worst starting quarterback in the NFL last season, and they immediately were getting ready to move on and replace him. Now he's back at the helm. I just think Zach Wilson has a good young mentality of like, I got to reprove myself. I got to establish myself. You don't want to make the same mistake twice and get re-embarrassed and be the laughing stock of the NFL in terms of starting quarterbacks. So I think building with him and just keeping, you drafted him, build up with him, see how he rides for the season and just, see what happens, play it out with him. So I think he is a good number 5 spot.
it's not like they need a Patrick Mahomes to be successful this season. They just need a guy who isn't going to make too many mistakes. Zach Wilson made a lot of them last year and the year prior. He got benched for Mike White, I believe, last year at one point in time. He is somebody who the Jets believed in, and I feel like they still believe in, but he needs to start showing them something. So, yeah, number 5 is a good spot for him.
Yeah, in the same breath about trying something out, some familiar faces, number 4, we got Joe Flacco, who was one of the replacements for Zach Wilson. So Joe Flacco has not played football since September of 22. In his 8-game stretch, or excuse me, I'm sorry, I think it was 3 games. My apologies, 3-game stretch with the Jets as their starter. 91 for 115 in terms of his attempts and completions, 901 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Joe Flacco is pretty much, to me, it's like Zach Wilson, but instead of having a young, prove himself, not make the same mistake twice guy, you have a veteran maybe trying to stay in the league, want to reprove himself, and just like you said, just good enough to keep them afloat. I see the only benefit to taking Joe Flacco over Zach Wilson is, like I said, you have obviously more experience, maybe a little bit of a safer bet.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's the veteran presence with him. And if you want a guy that's not going to make those young mistakes that Zach Wilson does, and a guy who's probably going to, not get your team in trouble as much as Zach Wilson would, Joe Flacco is a good placeholder. I look at Joe Flacco as a guy who is well past his prime, but still has enough spunk to try and prove himself.
And then number 3 is someone who actually I wanted at number 1 on this list. And then as I started doing the research, just had to get bumped down. That is Cam Newton. 50% completion rating, or percentage, in his last 5 starts for the Carolina Panthers. He also had 3 touchdowns, 5 interceptions to throw along with 4 rushing touchdowns. I, at one point in time when Cam Newton was cut from the Patriots, was shocked and confused that he was not on an NFL roster. Because I was convinced that there were not 32 quarterbacks better than Cam Newton at that time. I just knew there weren't. Then he comes in with Carolina and drops the ball hard. I mean, I think it's pretty abundantly clear that Cam Newton is no longer a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL. Almost like it's kind of a lot of common themes here. He's like a mix of the Joe Flacco and Zach Wilson argument. He's a vet. He's been in the league a long time, still has a lot to prove. And because of what I just said about Cam Newton, you would think he would take this team and thrive with them, trying to build up, like I said, get that resume and reestablish himself similar to Joe Flacco. I don't see Cam Newton being a long-term or even high-winning viable solution. So he sits here at number 3.
Yeah, Cam Newton's probably the most durable out of the top 3, I'd say. He's the one that's not going to get hurt.
Yep.
He's the one that's going to be able to stay healthy. And he might be below average, but he's consistent with his play. So you know what you're getting with him. So, do you need Cam Newton to return to MVP Cam Newton, or do you just need Cam Newton to make smart athletic plays? So, yeah him at 3, I'd be okay with him at 2. Either, but I think that just because of how bad he looked most recently, I think 3 is a deserving point for him.
I thought about this when you were just explaining that. It's important to remember for not so much Joe Flacco, but Cam Newton and Zach Wilson. Aaron Rodgers has said he's still going to be in the building, still going to be a part of the team. I will not be shocked if he traveled with the team to almost every game. He'll be around. Zach Wilson being young, not having the overall just general experience. Can Aaron Rodgers kind of offset some of that by still being around? Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I think 3 for Cam Newton is pretty good spot. Like I said, almost number 1 on this list.
Well, and he's also never had a mentor. Like, he's never had an older veteran quarterback to learn from. So maybe Cam Newton and Aaron Rodgers could be a match made in heaven.
Number 2, an almost former MVP in 2017 and a technical Super Bowl champion in Carson Wentz. Now, Carson Wentz, in his last 6 starts, which were September through October of last year, he had 10 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 14 for 232 for his attempts. Like I said, just under 1,500 yards. Those are decent starting quarterback numbers, but it doesn't produce to winning. And we've known that Carson Wentz, with his stint in Washington, may not be leading you to wins anymore. Like you said, how Cam Newton is durable. I think Carson Wentz is a good, like, baseline average. Like, if we need someone to come in and just kind of keep us at 500, that could be Carson Wentz. Again, not a long-term solution, but he's got a good head. He makes good plays, doesn't force a whole lot, and he will look to use other people on the Jets. So Carson Wentz at number 2.
Yeah, Carson Wentz in 2022 was 2-5 with 11 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. But people forget the year prior in 2021, he was 9-8 and had 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions with the Colts. So 27-7 is not bad starting QB numbers. That's middle of the road for the NFL. Carson Wentz is not a durable player at all to me.
No.
But with an offensive line that can keep him upright, which I think the Jets have, I think that Carson Wentz is the kind of guy that can come in and surprise people.
I think we have a good number 1, and I think we will both have good arguments to make, and that is Matt Ryan. Now, Matt Ryan just retired from the NFL this past season. He is probably a Hall of Famer, right? He's got to be a Hall of Famer. Yeah. But Matt Ryan, in his 12 games last season, had just over 3,000 yards, 14 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and an 83 passer rating. Matt Ryan, I just said about Carson Wentz having a good head and making the right plays. Matt Ryan is even a step above that in terms of, I think, what he'll be able to do with this team and his decision-making. Matt Ryan, by no means, he should have retired. He wasn't a great starting quarterback. He was one of the bottom-tier starting quarterbacks last season.
Yeah.
He's just old, out of it, doesn't have the ability anymore. That's fine. I get it. But the Jets don't need someone to go out there and make these huge, giant plays, which Matt Ryan wasn't, he doesn't need to do that. He won't do that. But he's smart. He's smart enough to keep them afloat. He's still just a good enough talent. I mean, 3,000 yards at his age with the Colts, no less, is not nothing. So I think he would do great in New York. And again, I think an Aaron Rodgers and Matt Ryan brain trust in the quarterback room might do a lot of good things. Who knows? So I think Matt Ryan should be the number 1 free agent replacement for Aaron Rodgers, and he is the top of today's top 5.
In 2019 and in 2020, he led the NFL in completions. And in 2016, he was the NFL MVP. I mean, Matt Ryan is, I'm fairly positive, top 15 in passing yards all time. He is a guy who's going to come in and provide veteran leadership. And there was a point in time, Matt Ryan was easily a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, right? I mean, he had to be.
Yeah.
Like 2015, 2016, 2017.
I was going to say mid-20. Yeah, sure.
He was
at least top 8.
Yeah. He was in the upper echelon of quarterbacks in the NFL at one point in time. So you're right. We don't need Matty Ice back. We don't need him to come in and, be a Super Bowl winning quarterback or a guy who's going to lead your team there. We just need him to come in and not make the mistakes that are going to hurt the team and allow, as I've been saying, this defense to carry this team.
Here's our today's top 5. Our 5 best, or who we think are the 5 best free agent replacements for Aaron Rodgers. Number 1, Matt Ryan. Number 2, Carson Wentz. Number 3, Cam Newton. Number 4, Joe Flacco. And number 5, Zach Wilson. Today's top 5. Moving on to our next segment, it is everyone's new favorite sports gambling segment, Parlay All Day. Parlay All Day is a segment where Steve and I make 2 little 4-leg parlays, sometimes same game, sometimes not, which we think are easy money, $10 bets. They should be sure things, and we're here to present them to you. We love this segment. This segment took a long time to make, so we're finally happy it's here. Taking a look at last week's parlays, did not go as planned. I got 3 out of 4 legs. Steve only got 1 out of 4 legs. So, are we gonna make this like a little, like, not competition, but like keep our records of the legs? You want to do that? So like, I'm 3-1 and you're 1-3. I mean, why not make it a little something? So yeah.
To tell the viewers real quick, last Sunday things just didn't go the
It's
way
a weird
things were
day.
supposed to go. It was a weird day in sports.
Yeah. Steve and I were texting each other, like, the first half of, like, all the games were like, what is going on? Like, football was not footballing for us for the first half of the afternoon games. It was
we
just
had a
so
chance
strange.
to make some serious money, and the NFL and Joe Burrow just said, go away.
So strange. Yeah, I said, stop doing what you're doing. But yeah, hopefully this week we'll do better. We're going to present them to you, so let's take a look at this week's parlay all day. Pretty much the exact same thing I had last week. I got 2 money lines and I got 2 touchdown scores. Let's go through that for you real quick. My first one, I got the Chargers money line against Tennessee. Just seems pretty straightforward. I don't foresee Los Angeles dropping game to Tennessee. I really have nothing to say about that besides that just seems easy. That's my easy money, throw it in to boost up your odds. Then number 2, I got the Dolphins beating the Patriots Sunday Night Football. It's a division game. Tua played out of his mind last week, and despite the Patriots' good-looking defense, I just don't think it's going to be enough to stop him and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and I don't see the Patriots having enough firepower to beat the Dolphins, period. And my 2 touchdown scores, I got George Kittle for a touchdown because last week, George Kittle not having a touchdown is weird. Brandon Ayuk got a lot of targets, and they ran a lot, which is cool, but I'm not buying George Kittle going 2 weeks in a row without a touchdown, or at least a target in the end zone. I'm just not buying it. Plus 200 last time I checked for a George Kittle touchdown. That's good money. George Kittle for anytime touchdown scorer. I have Amon-Ra St. Brown, to make sure I'm saying his name right. Amon-Ra St. Brown from the Lions for a touchdown. Had a great game last week. Had over 100 yards and a touchdown in week 1. And as we've said on this show before, the Lions are the Sounds dark horse of a team this year in the NFL. They're punching all the teams in the face.
Sorry, man.
And I think they're going to continue to do that. So I got him as an anytime touchdown scorer. Last time I had this updated, $10 will get you 171. I think that's pretty good money. That is my parlay all day.
So for mine, last week I did 2 money lines and 2 touchdown scores. This week I did 1 money line, a spread, and 2 touchdown scores. So starting off at the top, I took Dolphins Sunday Night Football against the Patriots. Tua Tagovailoa, 446 yards, 3 touchdowns, and Miami didn't let up 1 single sack all game.
Did not know that.
Tyreek Hill, 211 yards and 2 touchdowns, including the game-winning touchdown.
Tyreek Hill
is just, I don't see anybody on the Patriots who can stick him one-on-one, and if you put a safety over top, Waddle's on the other side. So my second leg, I have the Niners winning by minus 6.5 on the spread. So meaning the Niners to win by 7 points or more. The Niners are playing the Rams. I don't believe in the Rams defense as much as I used to. Yeah, Aaron Donald's still there, but Jalen Ramsey is no longer there. I think that the Niners, top to bottom, just have a better team. Matt Stafford didn't have any touchdown passes last week. I also think they're going to win by 10, but I took the safe spread and took 6.5. So my third leg is Calvin Ridley to score a touchdown. I think the connection between Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley is phenomenal. Calvin Ridley had 100 yards and a touchdown last week in week 1 against the Colts. This week, they're at home against the Chiefs. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But
yes, we will.
Ridley, I think they're going to feed off of that energy at home. I like Calvin Ridley for a touchdown. And my last one, Bijan Robinson for a touchdown. Listen, the Falcons, everyone knows they're going to use him at all times, any way they can. Passing, running. He is your franchise player. And Desmond Ridder is going to be trying to get him the ball as much as possible. I think the Falcons are playing Green Bay, which I don't think they have a super strong defense, and it's a home game for the Falcons. So I like Bijan Robinson to score a touchdown.
Did you say how much your bet was going to make?
Sorry, yes. I dropped the ball on that. $10 is going to win you $145. So I think that's a good bet. I think that all 4 of those things are pretty much locks. So I think you guys can go ahead and make a lot of money taking both Cam's bet and my bet. $20. It's going to win you over $300.
That's a great bet. Yeah, these are very good parlays. Take one more look at them as they pop up on the screen here. go down through and read them. I got the Dolphins money line, the Chargers money line, Amon St. Brown getting a touchdown, and George Kittle getting a touchdown.
And I got the Dolphins money line, the Niners at minus 6.5 on the spread, Calvin Ridley for a touchdown, and Bijan Robinson for a touchdown.
These are two good bets. We got nothing crazy. These are pretty safe. And these are real. Like, Steve and I make these bets. These are real bets that we place in real time. I got mine already down. Like, these are all set. So we hope you place them with us, and let's make some money this Sunday, folks. Hope you've enjoyed Parlay all day. Moving on to our third and final segment of the day. Not brand new anymore, kind of brand new segment, Sound the Alarm. A segment where Steve and I put teams on blast who we think could be upset in this week's games. We each got one apiece, and they are two good ones. Two really good ones. Whose alarm are you sounding?
The Chiefs are on upset alert this week. Yes, I am saying the Chiefs are going to start out the season 0-2. The Jags in their home opener are taking down the Chiefs, and here's why. Since November 27th of last season, Trevor Lawrence is 8-2 as a starting quarterback. During that 10-game stretch, they beat two top 10 defenses, the number 4 defense Jets and the number 10 defense Ravens. And on the other side of the ball, Travis Kelce did not play week 1, and he was on limited practice up until Thursday, where he came back and was practicing at full health, at full speed, but with a sleeve on his leg. It's the first home game of the year for the Jags. They're going to be feeding off that energy. I've been hearing a ton of people all over the sports world in the offseason talk about how Trevor Lawrence is a top 5 quarterback, talk about how this is the year the Jags are going to take that leap, talk about, the Jaguars are legit. Well, this is the opportunity for them to show that they're legit. The Chiefs are coming off of a sub-optimal loss against the Lions in week 1, and now they go on the road to face the Jags in week 2. I think Trevor Lawrence has something to prove. I think that Trevor Lawrence is going to come out and really surprise some people in this game. Now, another weird stat that I found, I want you to bring yourself back onto the screen for this one, Cam. I want to see your live reaction. In 2022, Patrick Mahomes, in every game following a loss, he lost 3 times. In every game following a loss, he threw for at least 1 interception, and he was sacked at least 1 time. I think that the Jags have the tools to finally take down the Chiefs, and I think that this is a revenge tour moment for Trevor Lawrence. I got the Jags 35-28 over the Chiefs.
We even got a score. It's not a bad take.
28.
It's not a bad take at all. I really enjoyed that. We have been critical. What shouldn't they critical? We have not been buying into the Trevor Lawrence hype as of late here on this show. But you make compelling points that Trevor Lawrence, I don't want to say Jaguars and Chiefs is a rivalry because it's nowhere near that. But I definitely think you're right that Trevor Lawrence has something to prove against the Chiefs specifically. It's a good pick. I really think that could be good. Now, I also want to throw in, I looked this up while you were talking. The Chiefs have not had an 0-2 start since 2014.
Well, they will Sunday. So
they will this Sunday. Great take. Jaguars upsetting the Chiefs. That's a good upset. All right. Here's what I got.
Lay it on me, Cam. Come on. Lay it on me.
I'm excited to say this to you, Steve, not only as the co-host of this show, but as my good, close personal friend. The New York Jets are going to beat the Dallas Cowboys. They are going to march into Dallas and dismantle America's team. Dak Prescott, in games where he does not throw an interception, the following game, he has a 73% chance to throw an interception based on the numbers for his career. 72.5, I'll admit I'm rounding up a smidge, but 72.5, 73, same thing. Dak Prescott has thrown an interception for 60% of his home games for his career. Now, I will admit, I did exclude his rookie year because that seems unfair. He was a rookie. I wouldn't do that for anybody. So I did exclude his rookie year, but still, 60% for his career at home. When they last met, Dak Prescott threw no touchdowns. He only made 10 completions, and they lost. People are freaking out about this 40-0 loss or win against the Giants. I don't know if people realize, but they beat the Giants.
Yeah, right.
With Daniel Jones, who just happened to have a Daniel Jones game. He didn't play well. He's Daniel Jones. That's going to happen. Their defense is garbage. Aaron Rodgers is gone. Team's dismantled. They're through. Not going to do anything. Here's what I think. They're going against a team that everyone thinks is going to make the Super Bowl in the NFC. They're a young team. We've heard about their hungry, young, good vibe mentality with Aaron Rodgers coming and all that stuff. You think they're going to go on Dallas with their heads hanging? Bummer Aaron's gone, but we're still the Jets. We got this. We got each other. They're going to hype Zach up. I think Zach's going to have the mentality, like I said in today's top 5. I got to prove myself. I'm not going to be who I was last game. And they're going to come out and curb stomp the Dallas Cowboys, who I have been saying since the start of the season, before the start of the season, I don't think they're good. Like, they're fine, but they're not making the NFC title game. I wouldn't be shocked if they lose in the wild card round. And for all of these reasons, and I want to say one more point before I wrap up. I think Dak Prescott, after last game, didn't do great, didn't do bad. I think he's going to look to be hungry. I think he's going to look to make plays and to kind of win the game for Dallas. And when he does that, that's when he's going to get himself in trouble. That's when New York's going to capitalize, and that's when they're going to win this game. They have the edge, and Dallas sucks. So because of all that, I am sounding the alarm for the Dallas Cowboys.
First off, I'd like to say this.
Yeah.
Anybody who thinks that Dak Prescott is a better quarterback than Josh Allen can sit on it. The Jets are going, I agree with you. They're going to beat the Dallas Cowboys.
You're buying it? You're buying it?
Dak Prescott had 148 yards on 54.5% completion percentage against the fucking Giants. Pardon my language. Against the Giants. Nope. So how much of that win was actually the offense? Or how much of that win was the Giants are really bad, their special teams made a lot of really stupid plays, and their defense, their offense was so bad that it gave the game to the Cowboys? I love that take by you. I love the analytics showing why Dak Prescott's going to come out, throw an interception to Sauce Gardner, and probably one to Whitehead, and they're going to lose this game. And I hope to God Trey Lance is starting by week 6.
Dak Prescott, I have this stat down too, is tied for second most games with 2 or more turnovers since 2022, including the playoffs with 6.
The Jets are going to shock America's team because it's not the Sound's team. It's America's team.
Yeah.
And America needs to wake up and start listening to the Sound because the Cowboys
The Sound's
suck.
team is the Lions. With the Lions are all the Sound's team, I think. Yeah. We are sounding the alarm for the Dallas Cowboys and the Kansas City Chiefs. 2 top tier echelon NFL teams, and we're just like, nah, they're dropping in week 2.
Goodbye.
So let's see. Let's see if they happen. We think they're gonna, but this has been Sound the Alarm. Hope you all enjoyed. And that's gonna do it for us today. Another excellent show, another football heavy show. We got teams on Sound the Alarm. We got a great parlay for you guys to make. We did the Jets' job for them by telling them who should be replacing Aaron Rodgers. We just did a great job today. And we also told you the truth on Josh Allen. So if you ever hear someone talking smack on Josh Allen, you just tell them the Sound said shut your mouth. And that's all you got to do. We apologize that the video took so long to get here, by the way, as well. We had some stuff happen this week, threw a wrench in the plans, but we are glad to be here with you today. We're so happy that you're here with us. We thank you for all the support. By the way, I wanted to mention this before. We are officially over 50 subscribers. semi-big milestone, more than halfway to 100. We thank you all for listening and supporting us in any way you can or do. Follow us on Instagram at @thesound_YT. Make sure to like this video, comment, subscribe to us, share with your friends, tell everyone about The Sound, and of course, always remember, if you're ever in need of intelligent or cogent sports analysis, listen to The Sound. We will always have you covered. Thank you so much for joining us today, folks. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Stay safe. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
Listen to the sound. I listen to the sound.